Okay, here we are back at our VINwiki Ed Bolian project. The car just got out of paint. We're getting ready to work on paint correction, so stay tuned because we're going to go over those details next. Hi, I'm Todd Cooperrider with Esoteric. Welcome back to the VINwiki Ed Bolian 430 Scuderia series. Now, we've talked about this car plenty. We went down to Ed's place. We kind of went over the history of the vehicle. If you haven't watched it yet, make sure when you're done here, you go back and watch the first part to the series. From there, we kind of assessed it, found out that we needed to go into paint. We had some major issues with it, and we did that. We ran into some issues with paint. We also had a tight budget to work with on this, so we had to make some calls. We had to make some concessions on what we were going to do with it. And one thing we wanted to avoid in the painting process is ending up with multiple colors. That was the issue the car had before. It was at least 5 different shades of gray going on, so we ended up doing a bit more painting than what we originally thought. Now it's back in here and we're ready to start with the paint correction process. And a lot of people may be thinking, well, wait a minute, you just had it painted. Why do you have to do paint correction on it? Well, a freshly painted car is no different from the car coming out of the factory. There are going to be issues with it. Painters are good at applying the paint to the finish. Some painters know how to do the finishing process really well. They are few and far in between. Most of the time, you're going to get a car that's been painted. You have to go in and do all the finishing. Painters do the painting, detailers do the finishing aspect of it. So that's what we have right here. And when this car was first built, as with every Ferrari, you've been watching any of our videos, you realize that they come from the factory with issues. There's going to be blend marks. There's going to be sanding marks where they've gone and tried to flatten down the paint, but then they don't get rid of the sanding marks. And that's a lot of what we have to deal with on this car. Our painter did a good job of laying down the paint, flattening it out through sanding, but we have to go in and do those refinements. And some other areas we have to deal with as a part of the reality of working with a tight budget. When you're doing repainting, you don't get complete disassembly of the car. And when that's the case, you have other issues where you got to get close up to edges up here and do some more sanding. And we've done a bit of that around a few parts of the car that we'll show you. You know, right up here, close to the edge, there's still a lot of orange peel and some other heavy sanding marks that we have to go in and blend in. We had to do same thing on the A-pillar. There's a few areas around the car that we have to go in and do those finishing details. And in addition to that, we have to go in and extract more clarity out of the paint that you don't get directly out of the paint booth. It's just the reality of it. You know, some people may think, paint correction is really expensive. Why don't I just go get it repainted? Well, first of all, a good repaint job is going to be really expensive. Then you're still going to have the detailer to come in and do the fine finishing of it. So even if this car didn't have some clear coat failure on it, we could have went in and made it look way better than what it would have looked like from the factory. And just a word of note here, for those of you maybe watching the video for the first time, we are going a very, very high level with this car. This is a big project with Ed and VINwiki to showcase everything that we're capable of. If you're thinking about having something done to your car, you want to make it look better, you don't have to go to this level. I mean, we're going crazy on this car. It's being taken apart. The interior is out. All the carbon fiber is out, which we'll go over in the next video. But just keep that in mind. You can just go in and do a simple polish and make a big difference. But the key that we want to show here is just how much difference that we can make on a car that has been repainted. And how do we do that? Well, let me get my tool here. This is a DOI meter, stands for distinctness of image. So when we're going through a process like this, we need to determine what is going to be the best process to get the most correction and draw the most clarity out of it. And some of you may say, well, I've got a gloss meter, or I know a guy that's got a gloss meter. Gloss meters hide a lot of the truth that's in it, because I can take a finish that's got a lot of orange peel in it and one that's perfectly flat, and they will have the exact same gloss readings, but nobody's going to look at those two finishes and say that they look the same. One is going to be completely different. So the measurements that this tool gives me, you know, this is the same kind of tool that they'll use in an OEM a factory setting. You take like Acura NSX, for instance, when they're working on their cars, they're using meters like this to determine if it meets their standards. So that's what we use to figure out what's going to work best. And what we're going to do on this one is I'm going to go in and I'm going to take batches of readings. You know, you can't just go put a meter down in one little area, get your measurement, and then do a comparison, because I can move it all around the panel and I'm going to get different readings each time. So what we're going to do here is we're going to do a batch of 10 readings before, then we're going to do all our process, and then we're going to go the same area and do a batch of 10. We're going to upload it to an Excel spreadsheet, and we're going to calculate the average difference or increase in clarity that we get. Now, I've already finished up the front end on this car, so I've already done this process to determine what is going to work best, what combination of products, pads, polishes is going to work best on this particular paint. But we're going to do it, and we're going to have a non-stop video of me doing that, going through all the processes and taking the readings afterwards. Then we'll do the comparison. But by having this helps us quantify and do this in a non-subjective way. We don't just sit back and say, hey, this paint looks good. You know, we use technology and math to tell us what's going best. So having said all that, we're going to get down here on the ground. We're going to work on this side panel here. From your view there, this panel looks pretty good. It's been sanded, it's relatively flat, and most people wouldn't think twice about it. But I know that there's a lot of sanding marks here, a lot of opportunity for improvement. And when we're going for improvement, just to put it into perspective, if you get 10% increase in clarity, that is very noticeable. I could take a brand new car and make a 10% increase in clarity, and it's going to be a big difference. My guess is that we're going to get considerably higher than that. So just to give you some numbers to make it all relative, 10% and above is a big difference. So let's go down here, let's start polishing on this panel, and we'll show you just how much extra clarity that we're going to get on it in addition to the rest of the car. Okay, now we're down here. I'm going to take 10 measurements as a before setting. It's going to save it as a batch. Then we're going to go into compounding, finish polishing, and then finally we're going to do another batch of 10 readings. Based on the readings I've been seeing here, we're going to have some massive improvements. So let's go ahead to compounding. I can tell from just looking at this that we made a massive difference just on the compounding stage. And you'll also notice they were only doing a two-step process even after heavy sanding that's been done on here. With the kind of combinations that we're doing, the fact that we're using a DA polisher, we can do it in 2 steps, whereas if you're working with a rotary, chances are it will be a 3-step process. Just clean up after our finish polishing process. All right, time for the next batch. Yeah, this is going to be a huge difference. Now we're going to go take this, hook it up to the laptop, put it in an Excel spreadsheet, and find our averages in the differences or the increases in clarity. But based on the numbers I've seen, the difference I can see here in the finish, they are going to be monumental. Let's go check it out on the computer. All right, so now I've got all of the data uploaded into Excel and found some really interesting information. Some surprises and some not surprises on it. But this is a nice thing about having this kind of technology is you can go in and you can find out exactly what you're dealing with. And if you're talking 5 to 10% difference, some of these readings you might not be able to tell by the eye. So by using this kind of technology, we go in and we figure out exactly the difference. And we also know, as we're going through the process, that we are getting the customer the absolute best results possible. Even if it's in a category that you might not tell by your eye, we know that it's the best. Now, taking a look at this here, basically this gives us a summary before and after. You got your batch numbers in here. I mean, it logs the time and everything. But what you'll find is you've got the important areas of measurement. You've got a couple of different gloss readings. You've got haze. You've got DOI, which is distinctness of image. You have got our spec, which is really the most important one that we use to measure clarity of the paint because it's measuring flatness. And then you've got reflective image quality. And you can see here, this is my before summary. Over here, I've got the after summary that does the same thing. And then I just pull them into one spreadsheet and I can define my averages. I've got my before averages and I've got my after averages. And then I figure out what that percentage of increase is. So if we look at the gloss number here, typically speaking, you're not going to find a huge gain there, 5 to 10%. You can see on average we gained 75% difference in gloss, which is absolutely huge. This is another angle of gloss, which you see it was a smaller increase, but over 21% increase. This one is haze. I don't have a number here because it's absolutely off the chart. We went from 2.6% haze to absolutely zero. That shows you that we've got the paint finished down as fine as you possibly can. There's no haze in it whatsoever. Distinctness of image, we had a 20% increase, and this is the one that's hilarious. Our spec, specular reflectance, this really measures the flatness of the paint. And I can tell by some of these readings up here, this is where there was a lot of sanding marks in the paint. This area down here was more in towards the center of the door that didn't have as much. But look at this difference, 195% increase. What does that mean? That means it's going to blow Ed's mind when he sees this finish. This is, I mean, I can't even put into words the difference this is. 194%, almost 195%. Like I said beforehand, 10% is a noticeable difference. 195 is just monumental. And then finally, reflective image quality, we went up 25%. So as you can see here, without any questions whatsoever, we made a massive, massive difference on this car. I could have just sat back and did some polishing and say, look how much better it looks, and you go, oh yeah, that's cool. But when I can show you exactly the differences, the science that we use when we're going in here, we're not just picking up a machine, some polish and a pad and going to town. We are figuring out what's going to make it look the best. And I know that Ed is going to flip out. I've already sent him some quick phone videos of the before and afters and some of the shots from the front end when we show how glossy it is. even before anything's put on it. And he is extremely excited to see it, as will you when we're done with the project. So now make sure that you stay tuned. If you haven't watched the previous videos, make sure you go do that next. Our next video is going to be on the carbon fiber, where we're going to put it through the exact same process that we did in the paint. And the carbon fiber is beat up a lot worse than the paint, so we're going to have bigger differences there. So stay tuned, watch it. If you haven't already, hit that subscription button, hit the bell so you're notified when we get our next videos in this VINwiki series up and running.